Hello everybody, welcome. Today it'll be the Disventure Camp Season 4, Episode 5 trailer analysis. Before we get this fully started, background footage and screenshots are owned by Omnation Cartoons, not me. This is my personal analysis opinions. If you have different, that's completely fine. I would love to read your thoughts in the comments down below. I do sections to maintain organization and simplicity, which for this video are the trailer analysis / review, who's going next, and the conclusion. Without further delay, let's begin.
Never mind. Forget I said anything.
Right from the previous episode, everyone's a bit down from the Ted elimination. Whether that be from the betrayal, Anastasia being voted, Ted leaving, Natalia in particular is guilty about the Logan situation. Something I hope that comes out of this is it allows Natalia to branch out and do more than what she has been doing. Maybe she tries to connect with Logan more to rebuild that trust. Maybe she wants to try and connect with the other side for strategy. In other words, give Natalia more screen time. Logan, pulling Richard and Linda aside after reaching camp, apologizes and attempts to explain why he did what he did. Linda interrupts, explaining it in the Linda way, as we don't get to see Richard's full reaction. My assumption is he's disappointed as well, yet not mad, as that wouldn't get anywhere here, nor likely on any of the basketball fields. Not only that, despite the severed trust, they need Logan to remain in game, or at least Richard does, in order for him to, well, stay in game too! The night scenes to the morning ones, I'll be continuing with the blue team here. The girls are hanging out as Marissa turns the conversation into strategy, asking them about the Linda situation. Anastasia, obviously, thinks they did absolutely nothing wrong, that Linda was a snake in the rough. Marissa is upset at this somewhat, yet hides it, simply walking away sadly, Anastasia hoping she feels better. This could lead to A, an Anarissa moment, or B, the discussion continues with Isabel and Natalia. Since the girls are easily split into duos, it could end up intriguing if we actually get to see them more interact as a group, or maybe have more specific dynamics like, I don't know, Anastasia and Isabel. Moving on to the red team, Benji is Benjiing or trying to become the next Alicio, whilst the big alliance all meets up for some basic strategic discussion. For Diego, though, there is no strategy involved except asking out Spencer after like 4 to 5 days. Truly the impeccable gameplay that will launch him right to that finale. Regardless, Jade is getting the miracle, shown in the voice lines, of having an interaction that is not Spencer or Diego. She's still talking about them, though. She'll never escape it. Moving on to this, who is actually excited? No offense if you are, by the way. Awesome that you enjoy it. But this is extremely fast. I have 2 theories on how this plays out. Either Spencer rejects it, or he accepts it in order to have an ally by his side. Is the second one awful? Absolutely, so I hope it doesn't happen. Because that's even worse than what James did at the beginning of Season 2. Either way, this will not end with sunshine and rainbows, I would assume, because why would it this early? Spencer has also shown absolutely no interest, so. The challenge hits, being explained as the coconuts begin to shoot, to then get into the baskets. Not the full explanation of the challenge here, but it's definitely a complicated, I say that in quotes, and unique one, and it has that Carnival-esque aesthetic to it, so either way, I'm interested here. Trevor and Emily remind of what used to be a good duo. As the competition begins, everyone running. Anastasia and Marissa start off pulling, as Marissa probably continues the Linda discussion. How it was unfair, how it benefited everybody in the girls' lives, or however it may go, Anastasia isn't buying it. This, to me, is how the drama between these two starts or continues, because ultimately, every ship that gets screen time eventually gets drama. It's unavoidable. We also get to see the interesting pair of Diego and Zayd, and especially since they didn't get the chance to interact much originally, could be cool to shift the focus onto this. Given to the fact that the Vibe Trio truly don't talk much outside of each other, which yes, I get why there's only so much free time in an episode, and they have an amazing dynamic, in my own opinion, but, Still, speaking of the Vibe Trio, Tristan shakes down the coconuts, Ivy there, and the two working together. Since these two individually are the only dynamic in the Vibe Trio to not be completely explained or explored upon yet, I'm excited to see these two finally have an alone interaction, especially what it ends up being about. Even better if it's the focus of the episode. Turning to the blue team, Logan helps out the girls as he continues on his journey. Isabel does look a tad suspicious of Logan, which I wonder if that'll come back later on another episode, or maybe even here. Maybe she eventually prefers working with Linda over Logan due to the intentions that could be happening. Who knows? Eventually, Logan reunites with the Linda-Richard dynamic, each having the chance to shoot. Isabel decides to go for a long shot instead while running, and with us unable to see the results of any of these shots. We do get to see how Benji's go, and it, per se, isn't the best outcome. IV both shots, yet likely. Worried for what happened, she stares down. Tristan stays focused on the challenge, throwing the coconut as close to the basket as possible. Linda and Marissa bump into one another. Marissa using this opportunity to try and make it more fair, I say that in quotes, for Linda, apologize whatever else in her perspective Linda deserves in order to advance. The final screenshots showcase the final two duos pulling the rope or whatever. Diego and Hannah, along with Logan and Anastasia, both good dynamics that I hope to see more attractions of, which wraps up with the intense / quote-unquote cinematic camera angles. I don't know how to word it, okay? Alright. With all of this analyzed, let's move on to the next section. Who's going next?
Never mind. Forget I said anything.
My first thought was that this may be a non-elimination because assuming final 3, 1 returning, we need 10 non-eliminations in total for the 26-episode season. However, the next episode was confirmed on X's Twitter by the creator to be a musical, or at least that's what I've heard, so don't quote me on that, but either way, which, if it is true, a huge win, but also likely means that the next episode would be a non-elimination if we were choosing out of these two. Though I'm not completely certain on which team would lose, I can assume who would go home on each side. When I say each side, I mean the major alliances or major dynamics that we know of so far. Beating with the blue team, Linda has a way of getting out of most situations, even by a thread. It seems to be her main strategy or viable strategy. Additionally, we need our main antagonist, quote-unquote, as there, and she'll be the most likely candidate now that Ted is out of here. Logan plays both sides, even if not fully meaning to, therefore he's fine. He also has a lot more storyline potential, I'd argue. Out of these three, this would leave Richard, and even though he was a decoy choice, I'm sure he could become the full target of Marissa / when the thing goes well, and plus, they aren't gonna target Logan unless it's a last resort, given he voted with them. On the girls' side, a lot harder to tell. I'll cross out Isabel instantly because she's under the radar and has an idol to keep her afloat. Natalia has made no enemies, has no rivalries, is on the best stance with Logan. I can see her story-wise going because she doesn't have much screen time, but talking like in-game, I can't see it happening. This leaves Anastasia and Marissa, and in this circumstance, I think it all depends on Richard's bias. Logan would want Anastasia to say, as proven in episode 3, Linda would want Marissa, because Anastasia just goes up to her, is trying to get her out. Like, if she had to choose, it would obviously be Marissa staying, especially after these conversations that we're seeing in this trailer. But the problem is Richard has interacted with none of them one-on-one. Stories-wise, Anastasia would probably stick, so for that, I'll say Marissa. It's a lot looser here, though. For a red team, I'll break into the duo and the two trios, starting with the obvious Benji and Hannah. Do I really need to explain who out of these two would probably leave? Hannah has made actual connections. Benji has managed to weird out his entire team, make Jade and Spencer make him the number one target, and has no close allies besides Hannah, who is also stuck in the minority alliance, at least so far, I think, with Hannah. So it's like, I don't see a world where he can survive over Hannah, unless he pulls like a 180, which, it'd be impressive, I just don't see it happening. The trios are a bit more tricky, and especially the Vibe trio or 3. It hurts to say this, but I think Tristan, because as much as I want them to have more of a story arc and make it farther, they don't. They're simply teasing about Zadek's Ivy, so in a turn of events, they're probably out first from that story, especially since they're all equal, at least the entire trio seems, in terms of the dynamics with the others. One of them's going out soon, but the longer that they stay, the better. Now the plot armor trio of Diego, Jade, and Spencer. Quite frankly, I don't see any of them going too soon, but if one of them has to head out, I think Diego? Look, all he has going for him right now is like a crush on Spencer, if we're talking at least in the trio confines. Jade is the main person who's rounding this group up, and Spencer has a lot more character strategy, etc., and the strategy thing also goes for Jade because what real strategy has Diego put forth the effort in? I can see a world where Jade goes instead, sacrificing herself for the Diego and Spencer plot, which, please don't happen. However, I don't see Spencer heading out. I think he has way too much plot, and also, plot armor to go. Out of all my predictions, if I had to pick two in particular to head out this episode, between two anyway, I'd say Richard or Benji. Look, these two will probably be the next Aiden from Disventure Camp All-Star situation happening all over again. Either way, onto the final section, the conclusion.
Never mind. Forget I said anything.
Your thoughts on the new trailer, any predictions? Again, would love to read in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. Any and all support is really appreciated over here. Have an amazing day or night, depending on when you're watching this.